Hello Internet, I'm Dan.
And I'm Chaz, and this is Wine is Serious Business, episode 147. And yeah, I got it right this time. Okay, so we're still drinking Oregon wines, and this time we're doing some Chardonnays. Fair amount of Chardonnays. We're definitely more geared towards Riesling and Pinot, but I would say for the third grape in Oregon, Chardonnay is really my love after Pinot and Riesling.
And there are some good ones. I mean, I find myself going over the course of a year. Usually, I get excited about one or two, and I try maybe 15 or something like that. Like, there's quite a few of them being made, but it's kind of in my brain. Like, I need to try them more. And when we were putting together wines for the show, I was like, we haven't done any Chardonnay for a while. I want to check some of these out. And to be honest, the stuff that really gets my excitement is usually in the $20 to $30 price point.
It's true. Start using a little bit more new oak to get a little bit more of that roundness.
It's true.
And then single vineyard stuff, and there's definitely the fruit that they're using is
like some people.
Quality.
Some people really have it down. What the heck? Let's do the shout outs. So like Edelstein, Cameron, and Evesham Wood have been like kind of game changers for us in the past.
Evesham Wood, I think, really was what flipped it over to where like we need to start paying more attention to Chardonnay.
Yeah, and so those are more on the oaky style. It's not what we're tasting today, but it's kind of a part of educating ourselves, like what's out there, what's going on with our Oregon Chardonnay, and kind of just keeping on top of it. So the first wine is the Lange Willamette Valley Chardonnay. They're located in the Dundee Hills. Since it's Willamette Valley designated, it's probably kind of some fruit from all over. Both of these wines are kind of in like the lighter, leaner, crisp style. They're both sub $15, so nice. Small price difference, but easily accessible, and both smaller producers, so you can get great price on wine without having to go to like full on bulk production stuff. So.
And Lange's made a lot of good wine in the past. This is the one we've got in glass. And
a previous vintage of this we love, and and actually at that price point, one of the best Chardonnays I've had out of Oregon for sure. So I'm excited to try this.
And they do I believe it's a Freedom Hill single vineyard Chardonnay.
They do.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Crazy like lemon curd thing going on here. Just like a lot of citrus and just a little bit of a creamy note.
I completely agree with that. That's right where my mind was going.
And like totally the dessert, right? And even just like a touch of something candy there too.
There's not really much tropical going on here.
No?
It's definitely like lemon citrus thing, maybe like a hint of kiwi, but not. I mean, yeah, it's definitely like the lemon, the creaminess, no wood whatsoever.
Nope.
And just
totally like a lemon dessert, man. I can't put my finger on it, but there's It
smells great. So.
Nice across the palate, despite like full lemons on the nose. Like it's not kind of heavy or bitter or any of that stuff that can come with a little bit too heavy on the lemons. It's nice.
And while none of it was coming through in the nose, like a tart green apple, like one that's just barely underripe, is showing a little bit in the palate, but definitely like the lemon thing is the strongest play here.
And just a touch of that creaminess from the nose really is showing on the palate too. I think especially on the side that's like settling in. Boy, the acidity gets pretty intense really slowly. It takes its time to get there, but as I'm sitting here talking, like it's definitely like dripping up a bit.
We're both here sitting there smacking our lips.
Yeah.
But that's it, at the price point, I think it totally delivers.
Totally.
Not a super long finish. There's like a little bit of like, maybe some sweetness, not sweetness, but like honeyed or lemony.
It's true. Yeah, like the lemon dessert thing, right? There's like I'm going to say sweetness. It's not like candified or anything like that.
No.
But it's definitely like kind of in the dessert direction. There's a little hint of that. And while it is generally pretty simple, there's a hint of complexity there. That makes me pretty happy.
It's pretty delicious for the price point. I would say 86 points on it.
Yeah, 87 points for me. At the price point, it's great. It's easy drinking. I think you kind of, especially at this point, you kind of get more into the extremes. You get the really like dry, crisp styles and the very like buttery, heavy styles. On the dry, crisp style, like this has a little more richness, I guess, than is typical for that style at this price point, and a little bit of complexity and flavor, which is enjoyable.
I completely agree with everything said there. And $15 you said for the price point of this?
Just under. Is under
just under 15.
Yeah.
Worth checking out.
Yeah,
totally.
So
delicious. Good pick.
Nice.
Okay, so I've tasted here before, but it's been a while. Apolloni Cellars,
Yeah.
Apolloni Chardonnay Estate, 2010.
And I don't think I've ever had this wine before.
I don't think I have
but
either.
it's comparable, like over 10 and under 15, so they're both in similar price range there. I've had their Pinot Gris on recommendation from Renaissance Wines actually a few years ago. Kind of enjoyed that. But saw this sitting on the shelf, decided to give it a shot. Right, similar price point, more Chardonnay, and big part of the show is getting to explore stuff that we want to know more about. So
I don't think I've had their Chardonnay, but I went there one time when they were drinking like their Pinot Gris alongside like one from Alsace or from some other region, and then like one from Erie. Like they were like tasting a whole bunch of stuff along with theirs just to like
Pinot
showcase
Gris
it.
Showdown.
But really cool. Yeah, that they would do that at their own winery.
Yeah,
neat. So I had a great time. Tasting there. It's worth checking the place out if you're ever in the Willamette Valley.
and I've never been there, so that's even
They had some what they would do in Paris.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and there's some good Pinots there actually too. Yeah.
Wow.
They do some nice stuff. Some of their single beer stuff's pretty delicious.
Sweet, you gotta hit it.
So this is getting more towards like the ripe apple sort of.
Totally.
You know,
and even like
we're
some of the
going appley
peels on there,
fruit.
like,
Yeah, we're going a little more appley fruit here. Almost sweet coming out of the nose, but not completely.
a little bit like baked pie crust too, not like with the cinnamon and sugar on it, like just the crust.
It's not like I wanted to say baked apple pie, but you can't. It's not the baked apples,
Right,
This
like
is
the brown
fresher.
sugar and the cinnamon's not going
Yeah.
on. It's just, but I could see,
But
yeah,
the
like
crust is
cooked
there.
apple, like yeah. Straight to the point. Man, the baked apple and crusting and like pie crusting from the nose is totally coming through. I got this vision in my mind now. Like I do a fair amount of camping every once in a while. I do a trip where we bring a little fancier food out, and I was just wondering, like maybe you get one of those like cans of like pre-made croissants, like, wrap them around an apple, wrap it in tinfoil, and throw it in the fire. I think you'd come out with something kind of similar to this. Assuming you didn't burn it like crazy. Of course, there's that risk, but right, there's that little bit of pastry, like a little bit of pie crust, a little bit of baked apple with the peel included, and it works nicely together. It's not going to knock anybody's socks off, but it's enjoyable.
I'm seeing like a little fresher apple flavors here, but there's like a little hint of lime citrus on the finish. But yeah, definitely the crust thing is still going on big time for me. Not as. I like the Lange more out of the two of these. Like there's just a little more substance, a little more of that creaminess I think was attracting me. This is not there, but yeah, it's still a delicious wine. At the price point, close to $10, pretty good. Yeah, reasonable. Very reasonable.
And man, this is where it gets really tough for us when we made the decision we're gonna score things. Like there's nothing wrong with this. I like the flavors that are going on. It's easy drinking. It's friendly. Nor is there any excitement.
There you go.
For me anyway. It sounds like you agree. So for me today, that makes it 84 points. Totally drinkable at the price point. Totally reasonable. And I think for those of you who like things on the more austere side, or if we were talking about like that lemon curd character, if that sounds exciting to you, this totally delivers. So
the Apolloni or the lemon Lange?
This does, because this has a little more of the. What wasn't I saying that about this?
You said the lemon curd thing you were talking about. Sorry.
I'm sorry, the baked apple. You're right.
The baked apple.
Great.
Yeah,
I get to look like an ass on the internet.
No, you can cut that.
Yeah.
that's what this is.
No, but yeah, but the baked apple and pastry thing, if that appeals to you more, this is great. And also like really good welcome wine, because it is really easy drinking, nice and cold. It does have it's got a refreshing feel to it that I'm appreciating as I finish off the glass.
And that's what I was going to say. Like whereas a Lange, there's a little more substance, a little more creaminess. This is definitely more on the lighter, refreshing side. The fruit flavors here are interesting enough, but just there's something about it that doesn't compel me as much as the Lange. The Lange is a little more compelling, a little more interesting, and this definitely feels just a little lighter, a little less substance to it. So for me, 83 points. And I really shouldn't say it was a bad thing. Like, we just don't give a lot of, like...
It's true.
You know, it's
very tasteful, but we say that numerous times. I'd like to think that even wines that hit the 80-point mark, we consider to be worth drinking at an appropriate price point. This totally qualifies. So
I would not hesitate to buy this,
yeah.
honestly, especially at the price point. A lot of people like this.
Yeah. So, two solid wines. Again, Chastity had a question of the day.
I do. So, stretch it for questions of the day. I got my first magazine subscription in a long time to Runner's World. And just because I run all the time, and it's one of the few magazines where I buy it every once in a while, like when I fly somewhere, and I end up reading the whole thing cover to cover. And so I was like, okay, I just signed up for the Portland Marathon, and they give you cheap magazine subscriptions to a whole bunch of like athletic-based magazines. So Runner's World's mine. Do you subscribe to any magazines? And if so, what are they? What are they? And why do you like them? So.
And for me, like I don't right now. Although when I fly, like that's when I get the most of my reading done. And why I quit is that in day-to-day life, I just don't read it.
Oh, that's a good question. So if you don't have one, what do you pick up on the plane?
Sure. Or well, so what I missed, what I missed though. So I used to be registered member of IEEE. It's Electrical Engineering Association, and the IEEE Spectrum is an engineering magazine that's like written so that a computer scientist can understand, you know, what somebody who's working on power distribution is talking about. It's very general language, and I'd like to think even that somebody that wasn't technical.
No, I've read it at work. The magazine's been just laying out at work.
Yeah.
I've read it and been sort of mystified a couple times.
And
but I'm not an engineer. So.
A lot of it's accessible, and it's cool stuff, and it's really like cutting edge stuff most of the time. So I had a lot of fun reading that, and so it's a draw. If I could read one magazine, if I could like imagine time to make that happen, it'd be that or The Economist, which has amazing writing, a lot of up-to-date stuff. Okay. So, no, it's more news. It's not an economic magazine. It's like world news stuff.
Yes.
So those are my two interesting ones. I'll ramble for too long. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.